You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about being resilient in your life, not settling for those obstacles throwing you off path or other people telling you who or what you should be. I want you to be resilient in the face of all of that and really let the passion within you drive you towards your goals and dreams. We're going to be taking your call. That number is 800-333-0001, and I'll be standing by to help give you some advice to move you forward along your path. And if you are staying with us throughout the whole show, which I invite you to do, you do not want to miss our next guest, okay? It's an inspirational guest today, Emily Reese. She's going to be talking about how she had to be resilient in the face of her husband of 16 years coming out as gay, and how she handled that and did the transition from being married to divorced. But then, believe it or not, she got cancer and has been in an 8-year fight with that. So you don't want to miss her story. It has actually changed my life from when I first talked to her. So I want you to have that same experience. So again, we are taking your calls. It's all about being resilient today and figuring out what it is that you need so that you can, keep going and stay driven. Sometimes that's just support from other people, knowing that when you're having a hard day, you have an empathetic ear that you can turn to. Or if you're struggling and you're not sure how to crack the code on a problem that you're having, think about who is in your circle that, again, you can rely on for maybe technical support or giving you some guidance on your career or even relationships. I mean, I'm a life coach, but even I have friends who are coaches that I turn to, or even my producer, Rich. He and I, we talk all the time about different challenges that we both face. But if you don't talk to people and you don't start the dialogue, then you're not able to transition into a more positive place. And that is what we're dedicated to here in this show. So in fact, I'm getting word from our producer that we have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi, thank you for calling in. How can we help you today?
I have this roommate that I'm not really friends with them, and they have this habit that I don't necessarily agree with. So my question is, I was wondering how I could communicate with them about that habit without making the relationship turn toxic.
Can you tell me what the habit is?
They're into smoking weed a lot.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well,
yeah.
Smoking weed used to be, a taboo topic, but depending on which state you're in, it's not. It just depends. I'm not endorsing weed. I'm just saying that is something that a lot of people are coming up against. And really, whether it's weed or whether it's alcohol or whether it's any addiction, that can come in between friendships and relationships. And obviously, depending on if it's an edible or if they're smoking it, then that could be a smell that doesn't resonate well with you. So have you started talking to them about it? And what was their response?
No, I haven't started talking to them about it yet.
Okay. Well, so I believe in boundaries. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the good thing is, depending on where you live, you probably have a balcony or a patio. And maybe you can make an agreement that would be a good place for them to do it. Or maybe in their room, because in their room they might be able to have filtered air in a certain way. But I think you have to have boundaries around the common zones, kitchen, living room. It may not be so much that you resent them doing it. Maybe you do, but maybe not. It's really about them respecting your space. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah,
it's mostly because they do it in the living room and it smells a lot. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I get that. And for everybody who's smokers in the world, they oftentimes get that. And I think it's really just about starting that dialogue, because it isn't that you're trying to change them. You're not trying to be their mother and tell them what to do.
No.
You're just trying to find kind of peace amongst the place that you share. So I would absolutely just invite them to consider, how you could work together and again, be suggestive. I don't know where you live. I don't know if maybe you have a balcony, a patio, maybe there's a rooftop deck area, a lawn area. I don't know. You want to kind of think about what is possible. Obviously, as we move in and out of the seasons, it's not going to be as desirable to be outside. So you will have to come up with some sort of a resolution in terms of indoor space. Again, maybe their bedroom would be the best location. Okay. But I really appreciate you calling in because this is a topic that a lot of people are starting to struggle with. Okay.
Yeah.
But I believe in you. Just find your voice, put yourself out there, and it'll be okay. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
You got it. Thank you for calling in. I love that she asked that question because the thing is when we stay in the place of being intimidated to have a conversation, we don't actually put ourselves out there. Then we stay in what's called the gray zone. We think how somebody's going to react. We assume how somebody's going to react. But when you think and you assume, that's not real because you actually haven't had the conversation with them yet. She might have a conversation with her roommate and they might be like, gosh, I didn't even know that bothered you. Of course, we'll go outside, right? And then how easy was that for her to do versus, thinking about it and analyzing it and worrying about it. It's just better to kind of tear off the Band-Aid and have that conversation. And I want you to think about in your life, because we're talking about being resilient today, just like how she stood up and said, this is bothering me and how can I find a resolve? That is being resilient. It's moving past a problem and finding a solution. And that's what we want to do here today with you. So I'm going to go back to the phone lines and chat with another one of our callers. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy.
Hi there.
So I'm currently a freshman, and it's only my second week, going on my third. And I'm pretty excited, that I made it this far because it's actually been very different so far. I've had to adjust a lot. And on my first day, I was crying. I was very emotional because it was very different from what I'm used to in high school. So I just wanted to ask if you had any advice to share on surviving my first year of college.
Oh, man. Freshman year is a good year. But you're right. It does come with layers of anxiety because this is the first time that you're living on your own. You're having to maybe balance a budget and spend money wisely and meet new people and balance school and social functions. It can be a lot. But what I want you to really think about is just being good to yourself. Okay, if you need to cry, cry. Really get it out. But don't let yourself be mopey all day long. Okay? When you're sad about something, really go for it. Turn on a sappy song, look at a picture, really flush it out of your body. Because have you ever cried so much that at some point you just cry yourself out and then you're done? There's nothing left.
Yeah.
Right?
That's exactly.
So everybody listening, when you're sad, just go for it. Okay? But at the same time, once you get that out of your body, I really want you to realize, wow. First of all, I graduated from high school. Congratulations. That is an amazing accomplishment. It's not a given. Not everybody does. Secondly, you're at a university. Whether you're financially paying for it, in installments or whether your parents are helping you, either way, you made it. What an opportunity, right? And the exciting thing about being a freshman is everybody knows this is the year you're going to explore. You're going to learn. Right? You're finding your way with your career. You're finding your way with friendships. You're learning who you are. So don't feel as though there's a ton of expectations that people have on you to figure it all out because no one looks at a freshman to figure it all out. It is the year to explore. So just have fun. Let every week be a week that you meet somebody new. Rather than staying in the dorms and not going out, I want you to go out. I want you to go to a party. I want you to go on a date. I want you to join clubs. Okay? And just really go for life. Is that something you can do? So I think if you do all that, you will absolutely have a great and memorable freshman year. So thank you so much for calling in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I love that she called in about that topic because, again, for her, it's her freshman year. But we should all live our life like it's a freshman year, right? It's never too late to start that new hobby, to let go of a toxic relationship and start a new one, You're never locked into one career. You have the ability to evolve as many times as you want. That is the beauty of what it means to live full out. And that is also what it means to be resilient. So over the course of the show, I really want you to pinpoint where in your life do you need to be more resilient? And let's get you there. Most of all, stick with us because our inspirational guest, Emily Reese, I'm telling you, her story is touching. It's got highs, it's got lows. There's a lot of lessons in between, and I want you to get those so that you can evolve and be resilient in your life. We'll be coming right back after this break. Again, I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show, and it's all about being resilient, pushing forward through the hard times so that you can live a life that's passionate, fun, and like I said, every year should be like your freshman year. It's about living full out and really going for life in a big way. We'll be right back.
Dad, this is fun. I didn't think I'd like kayaking.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I think it's time to head back in.
Okay. Can we come back?
Sure.
Tomorrow?
Let's check with Mom. Hey, be careful getting out of the boat.
It's a kayak, Dad.
I'm going to return the kayak. Just make sure you have everything.
Yep. Can we walk home?
How about a taxi? 233 North Maple, please.
It's a short fare from your neighborhood to your naturehood. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a neighborhood park or green space near you. Also, find fun activities to do like boating and biking or camping and hiking, plus much more. It's all right in your naturehood.
Best day ever.
A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and the U.S. Forest Service.
Don't you wish that getting your child to eat right, move more, and spend less time in front of a screen could be as easy as pushing a button? It might not be that simple, but you do have more power than you know. And you can maximize that power with proven strategies, tips, and tools from the National Institutes of Health's We Can, or Ways to Enhance Children's Activity and Nutrition program. We Can offers all kinds of resources, including fun recipes and activities the family can do together to show you the way to live a healthier lifestyle. We're not saying it's easy. We are saying that it can be done. Take the first step today. Call 1-866-359-3226 for a free We Can Parents Handbook. And be sure to visit the We Can website at wecan.nhlbi.nih.gov for free information, too. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Today, my new dad and I shot off a rocket in the park.
Today, my new son and I failed to shoot off a rocket.
He knew exactly what to do.
I had no clue what I was doing.
We set up the rocket.
Hit ignition.
And then
nothing. Sometimes I laugh when I'm frustrated.
Then out of nowhere, the rocket launched into the air.
The rocket did get into the air.
I've never seen anything fly so high.
And then crashed into a kite.
Look out! Look out!
And then the pond.
I'll never forget that day.
I'll never forget that day, even if I tried.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are. For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
When I was little, I didn't talk for a long time. I liked things to always be the same. Anything new or different would scare and upset me. I was very sensitive to lights and sounds. It was almost like I had bigger eyes and ears than everyone else. So I built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. I didn't like looking people in the eye. It made me feel uncomfortable. I'd throw big tantrums over little things like when my socks didn't match. Sometimes I'd do the same things over and over. Until one day, I found out I had autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I learned how to live with it better.
You can see signs of autism in children as young as 18 months. Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org/signs. Brought to you by Autism Speaks and the Ad Council.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we're talking about being resilient in your life. And I have the most perfect inspirational guest on that topic today, Emily Reese. Now, her story is one that is unique, as all of our stories are unique. She had her husband came out gay amongst a very happy marriage. But how did she bounce back from that? How did she find herself? And then later on, she had another obstacle that came in her path, and we'll talk about that as well. So I want to jump right in. So I'd like to welcome Emily to the show.
Oh, thank you, Nancy. I'm really looking forward to this, and listening to the callers ahead of time. It just gave me so much energy because that youthfulness, discovering who you are, is such a life journey, and it's exciting to see how people's lives unfold, including some of that stuff that really challenges us.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, everybody just listening, ever since I met Emily, she's like a soul sister. Honestly, you're going to hear her story and you're going to find pieces of you in it as well. Even though it's not exactly the same, it's just life experiences that we all share. So, Emily, I want to take our audience back a bit, right? Because you did have the storybook marriage. You were very much in love with your husband. You had a home. You had 3 kids. Life looked really promising, really good. But then kind of the spidey sense, things just started to not make sense. What were your first clues that made you kind of wonder, something's off? My husband might not be happy.
Right. And every part of every story seems to be super relevant and important. So, when I narrow things down, if people have more questions about something, they can just contact me. I know we'll go through that later. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, the way that, it's about intuition. And a lot of us are conditioned without us knowing it not to trust our intuition. And so I started just sort of feeling like things aren't right, but I'm not sure where the missing puzzle piece is. And that came from some lack of not even sexual intimacy. It just came from a lack of, there's something missing intimately in our marriage. And, when the rubber meets the road and you start having kids, you could get really distracted and fall into these routines. And when I started doing some inner work and realizing something's not right here, that's when I started questioning things. And it came from a place of, is he cheating on me? But I couldn't possibly imagine that. Mm-hmm. I asked him before, and he's like, of course not, and allayed my fears. And I felt like that was right. But then I started thinking I'm crazy because somehow my intuition's telling me no, and nothing is coming to light.
Well, and you did follow your intuition. You actually took the initiative, looked at your bank accounts, and things did not make sense. You found a lot of money being spent in all different directions. Almost appearing like he had a gambling addiction, but there was one charge on there that did alert you to like a room charge that made you think, what's going on?
Right. And so that leads to the ultimate, revelation. I went ahead and sort of followed my intuition on the advice of a friend and looked on our account, and, I hadn't been involved intentionally because I didn't want that responsibility. And so he was in charge of the finances. Now, just to fast forward way ahead, things are way better. I just want to make that clear between us. But what happened was I confronted him, and he was through the phone and called him, and he was on his way back from a tennis tournament. And he was with a friend that I had very much agreed that he needs this friend, and this friend was with him a lot. And so we couldn't talk about it on the phone. So he said, I'll be home in a couple of hours. And in the meantime, I'm just, my mind is spinning as people do and telling myself narratives. And he came home 5 hours later. So at this point, I'm steaming mad and get the kids set up with a video. And we go upstairs to where my laundry was. I just started folding laundry. And I basically let him lead because I it wasn't my problem. I knew it was from him. And so he said, I just want you to know I'm not cheating on you with another woman. And so my sarcastic self kicked in because I was mad and did not mean this as real. But I turned to him and I said, what, are you gay or something? Really snarky. And his face was very solemn, didn't answer. I didn't understand the face, never seen it before. And finally, after some silence, he said, so you knew this whole time, as a question.
And that, Emily, that's one of those gulp moments that we have in life.
Yeah.
A big gulp.
Yeah.
And I imagined your head started spinning more and more because he wouldn't have had an affair on another woman, but he didn't say another man or a man.
Right. And then suddenly I realized he's telling me he's gay. He's coming out. And it was the last thing I expected. Now, I will say, we can talk about this if you want, but ultimately, looking back after we've gone through some things, there were red flags about it, but it wasn't necessarily something I even entertained because I'm just like, that's Devin.
Well, before we go too far, just real quick, maybe 2 or 3 red flags. Just what were a few signs that you missed now that you know about it?
Well, when we first started dating, there was a club scene, and for instance, we would go to the gay bars and dance, and that doesn't necessarily mean someone's gay, because I had a lot of straight friends that would go, right? But there were just little things like, looking back, he did not want to be gay, and so you could see then the desire for him not to be gay and how he used, and this isn't even malicious, he just didn't want to be gay, and so he immersed himself in things that he thought would help. Right? Anything that is straight related and church related, because we were heavily involved in, I'll call it evangelical. It was a biblical church. It wasn't necessarily affiliated with any denomination, where he was an elder and a youth pastor, and he was also an attorney. He just didn't, that became a way for him to hopefully not be gay. Right? Now, I don't speak for him most of the time, so I'm sure there's more to it than that. But that was my perspective looking back as a red flag. Well,
he had a lot of boxes checked. Wife, kids, attorney, elder at church, right. and overall, I think he, was happy with you. It sounds like you had a really great friendship. If anything else, romantic too, but a good solid foundation. And one of the things I want to do as we come out of this segment into our next ones, we will go to a commercial break here shortly, is you did finally, this came out. But when something comes out, because everybody, we're talking today about being resilient, when you're faced with the news like Emily got, or it could be health news, it could be relationship news, financial news, it's how do you stand up? How do you brush yourself off? And how do you find who you are? And Emily, if you could stay with us, we're going to take this commercial break, but we're going to come back and pop back into your story and kind of, take in some of these lessons that you can share with us on how you did find yourself and get back on path. So stay with us. And everybody listening, again, it's about being resilient. So think about where in your life do you want to make changes? Do you need to become stronger? Because that's how you live your life full out. So stay with us. We'll be coming right back after this break. I am Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know. wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way with just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Nancy Solari, host of the Living Full Out Show. I am excited to let you know that we are now associated with Alexa. If you have Alexa in your house and you didn't know that, go ahead and find Living Full Out because you can hear us anytime you want, and we're there for you to keep you motivated. Go to your app store because we're located there as well. Just look for the Living Full Out radio show. It's important to us that we put out really inspiring programming, but we want to make sure that you have it at your fingertips when you need us most. We never know when those challenges are going to come, when we're going to feel lonely and need that motivation. So just know that when you need us, we're here for you. Check out Alexa, the app stores, or go to livingfullout.com. Here's to you living full out.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait, communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Welcome back to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about being resilient in your life. And I wish that none of us had to go through tragedy, a crisis, a disability, you name it. I wish we just all had passionate, loving lives, but that's not how life is. And a lot of times, these tests that come our way, they're to make us stronger and to really help us to figure out who we are at the core. And our inspirational guest today, Emily Reese, is a perfect example of that. After finding out that her husband was gay, she did have to move on to find herself and what new relationships would look like. So I want to welcome Emily back to the show.
Thank you. This has been great so far.
Oh, well, thank you. We're happy to have you. And I want to kind of fast forward a little bit here in your story because after your husband did come out to you, and I'm sure there were months of confusion. What did that look like for your marriage? And would you stay together? Would you not? And I'm even sure for him, it was opening the floodgates of possibilities that he had shut himself off to. But what finally got you to the place of saying, okay, I'm okay with getting a divorce, because I know it isn't what you wanted. But at the same time, I also knew that this man that you had loved, he was a new version of. He wasn't the same man.
Yeah. Right.
How did you finally give yourself that approval to let go?
Right. And, I married him for reasons, right? And so there were so many qualities and I was in love with him. And so the only thing that basically it comes down to where we were operating from, the perspective we were operating from. And for a whole year, at least, plus, I was operating from the standpoint of saving our marriage, having it look however it needs to so we stay married. And so I went through a lot of things with that, including things with the church, but that's another story. But ultimately, when I realized that we should get a divorce, is after working through many things, figuring out who I am, and then we had a discussion where he mentioned marriage as being one of many options. And it just clicked with me that we are not on the same page. And I've been working against or, not in the same page. And so I suddenly had a flood of thoughts like, when he said, I'm the only woman he's ever loved, it suddenly in that moment became a compliment. Because before it felt like a slap in the face. I had a realization in that moment, too, he really is gay. There is no changing him. Like I had my own journey to go through with that, eventually understanding that being gay is not something you can change. And so in that moment, I realized, and I just said, I think we should get a divorce. And he didn't fight it, and I knew it was the right thing. And an immense amount of peace was there, even though there was a whole unknown. I knew in my intuition that I was right. And so that night when I went home, I slept for 14 hours, woke up with the same peace that I had. And I was honestly excited. I felt free. And not free to do whatever I want, but free from that burden of trying to
and you know what? I love that you said that, because everybody listening today, whatever you're dealing with, you can feel that freedom. You can turn a new page and start a new chapter of your life, which you did. And I know that you went through months where you were, testing the dating scene, trying to figure out who you were. And that can come with its own challenges. But you didn't realize, because none of us realize. We think a big challenge like finding out your husband is gay, like that's got to be it. That's got to be my one thing in life. But it wasn't your one obstacle in life. In fact, 2 years later, after your divorce, you found out you had cancer. And how did you find that out?
Well, I was just having health problems. And, and I was in a space where I was learning how to not operate in fear, because that's where I had been for so long. And I was learning to trudge through things instead of being afraid of facing them. And so when the news hit, after I was having health issues and in the hospital, it just began a journey, and this was 8 years ago, of learning how to apply what I learned through my experience of my husband coming out to this new problem. And I feel like that pinnacle time in my life of dealing with a husband coming out actually prepared me to handle cancer. And it has come and go. I've had many rounds of chemo. I've had a couple of operations. And a year and a half ago, I was officially diagnosed as terminal. So even that, finding out I had cancer, was a journey leading up to being able to handle the words, knock off things off your bucket list. And that was a big whammy. There's no doubt. And what it comes down to for me, and trying to apply my faith as organized in a new way, is that it's not if troubles happen, it's when troubles happen. That is something, if you are a person who follows tenets of Jesus, and who he said he was, he actually said, when you have problems. So no one is immune. And it's a matter of how you are resilient and persevere. And I had to learn some of those lessons the hard way, but I wouldn't change a thing about it, because I love who I am And I learned how to love others in the real unconditional way that I've always wanted to know.
It's interesting, Emily, because when we are confronted with a big challenge, could be financial, could be abuse, could be health like yours, or even me, I'm losing my vision, going blind. Right. It really puts life into a very inspiring perspective, because all those,
and it can.
Yeah, it's kind of like all the nuisances, the things that might throw us off our path and really get to us. It's like, so not a big deal, right? So I bet you've prioritized what might throw somebody off and get them irritated. It just rolls off you.
Right. And that has been part of my journey. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't always like that. And the idea of worry and where that takes you, and the idea of the stories. I think you were even sharing that with your first caller, or shared an insight about that, about how we're thinking about the future and our worries, and they're just stories. They're not real. They're just not real. Mm-hmm. And so that practice of living in the moment is very difficult during cancer. There's no doubt. But you learn very, very quickly that it's either sink or swim, and you learn how to live in the moment, at least in my experience.
Well, and this is why you were the perfect guest for being resilient in this show, because you had every reason in the book to be upset, jaded.
Right.
I had a great marriage, and my husband came out of the closet and he's gay. Anger, resentment. And then to find out you have cancer, and then to really give it your all to heal from it, and then to find out you're terminal. How do you not be angry? How do you package that away or release that?
Well, that is like the $1 million question for life, isn't it? And I think, the biggest thing is find out who you are at your core, because you're the only person you're ever going to really have. And so that is a focus of mine, and has been since Devin coming out. And so it is easier to then be able to tackle the things that you need to and push through them. It's more like now I welcome sometimes. I mean, I don't want calamity, don't get me wrong, but I know it's going to happen. And so I know that if I push through with the idea that my story is valuable and my life is valuable for other people, it gives those things purpose. And so I want to work through them so I can use it later. Because that is really all we can do. And then, the other aspect of that is just grasping that, the idea of when bad things happen to good people. Everybody has that question in their mind at some point. Why them? They don't deserve it. And I've come to a peace about it in this way, that if I use God, but universe, energy, whatever it is you believe that's out there, the quote unquote bad people that we think are bad won't necessarily use the bad things that happen to them for the good of others. And so there is a purpose behind the good people. It's very simplified, I realize, but the things that happen to good people, quote unquote, the universe knows that they'll be used for the betterment of the world. And so it gives me some peace to know that it's not why me, it's why not me. Because
that really sticks, Emily, because that, it's really about, for all of us listening to your story today, we're good people, but how can we take the things that have not gone right in our life and make it impact someone else's life? How can we pay that forward? And as we kind of round out today's show, and everybody in show notes and on our websites and different things will have information about Emily and how you can get in touch with her. But most of all, I like to celebrate your life. I realize they gave you the term terminal, but I think you're full of life. I think you're more full of life now than you probably were 16 years ago,
Yes, and that's 100% true.
And I want to celebrate. So tell us, so our community can support you, what is 1 or 2 bucket list items? Maybe just one. What's your top one that you got?
Well, all of them involve my kids. So let's just say spending time with my kids. But ultimately, gosh, that's a tough one because I've got to do so many neat things. So I'll say 2. One is I really want to go to Greece. I want to be on a Mediterranean cruise and just see that area.
I love it. Watch out, because they break plates on their heads out there. So watch out for that.
Right.
But Whoopa! And what's your second one?
So my second one is I've been to D.C. twice to lobby for healthcare, and I would love to be able to testify in one of those committee meetings about how we need to protect pre-existing condition issues and really think about how we're doing our healthcare and what's working and what's not.
And that is such a perfect note to end on, because the thing is we all need those bucket list items. And Emily, we are going to cheer you on. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show today. And we'll be sending positive wishes to you and your family. And you've just opened our eyes, opened our ears, and how we can be more resilient. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I have a huge smile on my face. So thank you for making my day.
Oh, you're just awesome. That is the word of the day for Emily. So thank you so much for being on our show. And for everybody listening, it's about how to be resilient in your life. We're going to come back after this segment, taking your calls. It's time to turn that page, make a new chapter occur in your life, live full out. That's what it's about. So stay with us. We're going to be coming right back. This is the Living Full Out Show. I'm Nancy Solari. Stay with us.
Well, Jason, I've got to tell you, you're pretty much everything this company is looking for in an entry-level candidate.
Great.
Your resume isn't quite what we're used to, but you've got a fantastic work ethic.
Thank you.
And I'm impressed by how you carry yourself.
So, should we talk about the job?
What? The job? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I have no way of recruiting or even meeting you. This interview didn't happen.
It may sound ridiculous, and that's because it kind of is. There's a huge pool of talent your company is missing out on. Meet the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
Man, we really could have used him.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
The following message is about Medicaid and CHIP, free or low-cost health coverage for kids and teens. Enrollment is open year-round.
Hey, voice lady, give me the mic.
Okay.
Hey, DJ, let's switch up the music. That's better. So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
They're going to jump out of trees. You can't stop them. They'll go down the slide head first. They'll make parachutes out of sheets. They'll balance on things that are impossible to balance on, like the back of a couch or a windowsill or a scooter seat. They'll run with sharp objects. They'll run into walls. They'll climb things that won't hold their weight. They'll put their fingers in places where they could get smashed. They'll drive their tricycles down steep hills. They'll bounce balls off their faces. They'll step on each other. They'll jump on each other. They'll invent whole new ways to put themselves in jeopardy. But one of the most dangerous things kids will do happens while they're sitting perfectly still. Kids who ride in a car without a booster seat are much more likely to suffer serious or fatal injury during a crash than kids in boosters. But amazingly, 80% of all kids who need them aren't in them. After a toddler seat and until they're 4'9", booster kids, and don't let them down.
Go to boosterseat.gov to learn more about the importance of boosters. A message from the U.S. Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Have you ever lost a cat? And have you ever wanted to get your cat back after you lost it? I'm Andrew Hoffman. I invented the Lost Cat Magnet. Just turn it on and lost cats stick to it. Just listen to one satisfied cat. That's proof. You should invent stuff too. But remember, don't do a lost cat magnet.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, the National Inventors Hall of Fame Foundation, and the Ad Council.
We're your pets, and this song's dedicated to those people who don't have health insurance yet. Enroll, we say. We
Health insurance is now affordable and covers prescriptions, hospitalizations, and preventive care. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn more.
And take care, people.
Brought to you by Get Covered America and the Ad Council.
To be resilient in your life means that you want to look at your life with perspective. Consider what you need to prioritize. What is the most important? And what are things that are just silly that get to you, but you shouldn't? Let them roll off your body and off your mind because they're distracting you. To be resilient, you have focus, you have passion in your heart, and you know that your life is worth it and anything is possible. That's when you're living full out.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out show. And I don't know about you, but when I think about being resilient, on a day that I'm inspired, I'm like a roar. I'm like a lion. I want to go for life, you know. But sometimes when we're heavy-hearted, when we feel overwhelmed, the thought of being resilient can feel like another thing to do, or more pressure, or more expectations on us. But I want you to put aside those negative thoughts, and I want you to go back to the positive ones. Because the thing is, it's just like our inspirational guest mentioned earlier. You know, her husband came out gay, and then she got cancer. Things are always going to come. So it's better to just expect that. Just know they're going to come. In any given week, there's going to be those unknowns that are going to fall on your lap. But it's about how you look at those unknowns. Do you get upset? Do you get resentful? Or do you say, you know what? I was expecting you. And then you put them in a place where you don't give them power, but yet you retain your power. That's how you stay resilient. Now, we're going to go to the phone lines and talk to one of our callers. Hello, welcome to the Living Full Out show.
Hi.
Hi, thank you for calling. How can we help you today?
So, I was wondering, how can I balance school, a job, an internship, and still maintain my relationships?
You're making me tired just saying that. No, I'm actually playing with you, because the thing is that right there is like the number one question we get on the show. Number one, balance. And so I want you to know that you're not alone. Okay. And I know that you are a go-getter because you're calling in, right? You want to thrive. You want to be successful in each of these categories. Now, I want to ask you an honest question. Do you keep to a schedule?
Yes.
Okay. And in that schedule, you probably note school and internship and all these things, but do you put in personal time for you?
No.
Mm-hmm. And did you, I want you to actually listen back to this recording of the show if you can. Just go to livingfullout.com afterwards, because the thing is the way that you said that was tonality-wise on a down note. No. It's almost like your heart is crying. It's sad. It's like, what about me? Do you get that?
Yeah, I understand.
So the reason why I bring that up is because the demands of your life, the relationships, the internships, the school, they're not going anywhere. And it sounds like you, being your go-getter self, have that down. But what you need to make sure you put into your schedule is time for yourself. Because otherwise, it's kind of like you're going to the bank, the emotional bank, and you're constantly giving yourself away. But you're not getting any deposits. You're not getting rejuvenated. So I actually really want you to look at your schedule in this next week, and I actually want you to put in time for sleep. I want you to put in time to work out. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. It could just be going for a 30-minute walk. I want you to actually put in time talking to a friend or a family member that brings you joy. It's almost like we have those people in our life that we're like, I don't have time to call my sister. I don't have time to call my mother. But you know, they're the people that you need to call because they nurture you. They kind of speak to your inner child. Okay? Because it can get really exhausting to be in control all the time and on point all the time and go-getting all the time. Do you ever feel that way?
I do.
Mm-hmm. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking thinking that sometimes it's hard to schedule those times because people ask a lot.
And I'm so glad you said that. So here's what I want you to start to say. Say not right now. Okay? I don't believe in the word no, but I do believe in the phrase not right now. So it's okay not to say yes to everything. Sometimes you're just going to have to say not right now, not this week. Because you have to protect yourself, protect those boundaries. And I promise you, and I make you this promise, a pinky promise over the airways, if you do that, you will feel lighter, you will gain your power back, and you will be more resilient. Can you do that?
I'll try.
Okay, take out try. Can you do that?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, see, that's a word I love. I want that on a t-shirt. Yes. Okay? No more I try. Take out I try. It's a negative word. Okay? I will, I can stay with the positives. But thank you so much for calling in. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day. And honestly, being resilient is not an easy walk, right? But we all can do it together. I'm so thankful for everybody who called into the show today. Our entire Living Full Out family is here to support you every week, and that includes Rich and Aaron and Riley and Camille and Brianna and everybody who just wants to make sure that you're getting the support that you need to go out there and be resilient and thrive and know that our family is right there to pick you up each week. And again, if you want to hear us on Alexa, if you have that, check us out, or you can go to your app stores and look for Living Full Out Radio. Just know that we are right there beside you as you stay resilient and as you go after your life and live full out. I believe in you, and we'll be seeing you next week. Take care, and again, here's to you living full out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.